No script today, we're talking about Season 6 of Delta Force and just my general review of this season after having played it for a week plus the test server period that I was fortunate enough to get access to. So we'll start off with the new content and then go into other just random topics that I've had issues with or whatever since the launch of Season 6 of Delta Force. So Raptor, the newest operator, I think he's not necessarily overpowered, at least not in Warfare. I know a lot of people have been complaining that he's a little bit overtuned for operations just because of his incredible tracking abilities, just allowing you to find people hiding in corners or whatever it may be, attach a camera that periodically pings people and their positions, and then also having the silver wing that you can fly around and spot people with and use EMPs and all that stuff. So I can see how players might think he's a bit overpowered in operations, and I want you guys to chime in the comment section down below as well. But in Warfare, I think he's just like a pretty cut and dry recon operator, nothing too crazy. His EMP grenade is slightly annoying because when you get hit by it, it like disrupts you. You take your hand off the weapon, you can't fire for a second or two. I think is a little bit less than 2 seconds, and then it removes all your abilities and all that, but overall you can kind of play around that. So I think Raptor is a solid addition, nothing too much to report there. Definitely never going to be my go-to operator because just recon is not my go-to class when playing Delta Force. Fault, the new map. Now Fault, it looks absolutely fantastic, it's beautiful to look at. It's way too big in my opinion. Even if you're taking vehicles to traverse the map, it is just absolutely massive. And there seems to be just a lack of general like flow to the map where you're not going to get into combat all that much. I played it like a handful of times, and probably the game that I had the most kills was like 19. And I was constantly moving between objectives and all that. Maybe I'm just not approaching the map in the right way, that if I'm playing infantry, I should stick to the city area, and then if I'm playing vehicles, I should stick to the outer areas. Maybe that's how I should approach that map to get more action and just more enjoyment out of it. On AD, I think it's a little bit better, albeit I've always found that there's too many players on AD. That's just personal preference, but I know a lot of people think the push is a little bit difficult on at least the A sector. I haven't played a ton, but yeah, AD is just not my jam. Too many people, and then the King of the Hill version of the map, it's just so freaking huge that yeah, it feels very empty a lot of the times. I definitely think I have to play it a lot more to get a better opinion on whether I like it or not. Like at first, when Season 5 launched, I thought Cyclone was like a decent map, but the more I play it, the less I enjoy it. I really enjoy the underground area more so than the top, and the performance is not great, and the audio is kind of wonky too. But I digress, that is not the topic of today's video. The new weapons. I absolutely love the Marlin lever action rifle. It is so freaking fun to use. It's probably one of the best weapons or the most fun weapons that they've launched since the game released last year. And yeah, the Marlin lever action is just so freaking fun. The MK47, it's a battle rifle, right? It has a lot of recoil, does high damage per shot, maybe a little bit too much recoil. I don't think it warrants having that much recoil for the time to kill that it has, but you know, it's probably just a balanced decision that they ended up making. And both weapons I really had a blast using both of them, and hats off to them for not locking them only being available in the mid-season mission or whatever, like they did in the past seasons, where you'd get one weapon right off the rip, and then you'd have to unlock the second one by like mid-season. So that's like 6 weeks of only having one new weapon to play around with. So hats off to them for making both weapons available right when Season 6 launched. Absolutely love that they did it. We also got a new vehicle, so jets. I'm a shitty pilot. Like, I'm literally the worst pilot in the world. I cannot fly to save my life. From what I've heard, people are enjoying the jets. They look cool, they sound cool, albeit maybe a little bit too loud. They should do some tuning with the audio and all that. But yeah, from what I can gather, players are enjoying the jets, and it's a nice new addition to have in Delta Force. You know, in all the other combined arms games that I've played in the past, you know, mostly Battlefield, there's always been jets, so it makes sense for Delta Force to add jets. jets. Surprised that they're not on some of the larger maps like trench lines. Right now they're only on Ascension, Cyclone, and the new map Fault. So only 3 maps out of, what is it now, 8 maps I think that we have. If you can't, quick math, yeah, I think it's 8 maps. So curious that why they're not on like trench lines, which is a largish map, and even potentially on Trainwreck, which is a pretty large map as well. I think jets would fit nicely there, but it might just be an implementation issue or something like that. We also got a new game mode, so TDM, and they're trying to work on Victory Unite. I don't know what's happening with that. I queued up. Still the same problem of 39 out of 40, can never get into a match. TDM, kind of a mixed bag for me. I'm really not a fan of there being class or operator abilities in TDM. I think it should just be flat out weapons, and that should be absolutely it that you can play with in TDM. So no Volt Arrow, no shield that Seneva has, that in my opinion is absolutely broken in TDM, just because of the nature of the game mode with the close quarters and all that. Some operators are just far too good because of their set of abilities. I think it should just be like, you spawn in, it's not even an operator or something. It could just be like a base soldier or whatever, and then you only fight with weapons, no abilities whatsoever. I think it would be a lot more fun that way. But yeah, TDM is absolutely sweaty. If you have not played it yet, you better bring your A game, because people are cracked in TDM, and you can actually gain some merit up to a certain point. I think it's up to like 2,500 merit that you can gain through playing TDM. So that's a nice little thing that they added, I think a few days ago actually, that you're able to gain merit through TDM. So another game mode, can't complain about that. Just not my favorite because of the abilities in there. Something else I think is nice that they added is the Masterwork skins, or whatever you want to call them. So now in the game you can complete like 16 season skins, which is the Woodland Rush this season. Once you complete those 16 skins and you unlock them, you can then move on to unlocking the Master skins, or whatever you want to call. There's one for the AUG, there's one for the Vector, and there's one for the CI-19, each requiring a certain number of headshot kills and just general kills overall to be able to unlock those skins. But yeah, just an extra thing for players to grind towards, because I know a lot of players need stuff to grind for in a video game, and we've been conditioned to do so with years and years of them just putting in progression and grindy progression in video games. Now players expect it, so that's just an extra thing for players to work out and play around with, and try different weapons because they want those skins and they want to unlock the fancy skins. Then it just promotes more variety, which is a welcome thing overall. They also balanced some of the operators, so Nox got a buff. You can spawn on, friendly spawn beacons. Tempest got a buff, which I think was needed because she was slightly underpowered. And then also Hacklaw got a buff that, replenishes your knife if you get a kill with it and all that. They also improved her flash drone, and also the lines that are drawn whenever you have your ultimate ability or something. I haven't actually played Hacklaw this season yet, but yeah, I don't have much to say about the buffs. They seem fine. They seem to be pretty much in line, and bringing some of the operators' power level up slightly in line with like the other ones that are a little bit stronger. And now moving on to some things that I'm a little bit less of a fan of with the launch of the new season, mostly just more glitches and bugs that I've noticed since the launch of the new season. I hate the audio this season. I know they made some changes to it. In some maps, the audio is just so loud that it clips out. It's literally just redlining because the audio is so loud when there's so many things happening in a specific area. So if you're fighting a vehicle or something and a jet flies over you, some sounds are simply just going to cut out. And I noticed also that there's a lot of static on a lot of the larger maps that for no reason. Like, this is the only game that I have this issue with, and I do have a pretty good audio setup. And I was like, at first I was like, wait, are my headphones giving out already? These are pretty recent, but no, it's really in Delta Force that I'm having this issue where there's just like this staticky noise, there's audio clipping, there's audio redlining. I don't know what they did. I know they did some audio changes, but yeah, it is really not good. Like, the jet is just absolutely deafening, albeit the audio is on the jet is really cool. I think it's a little bit too loud, and the distance at which you can hear audio for some reason is like, you can hear somebody firing across the map unsuppressed, but technically you probably shouldn't be able to hear that. And same thing with footsteps. They're still all over the place, especially on maps like Knife Edge where you have a lot of verticality. People sound like they're right in front of you, but they're like 2 floors below or 2 floors above. It's just really weird. I don't know what's happening there, but yeah, just the audio clipping and static is something that I noticed with this new season, and it is rough, very rough. I've also noticed some weird, like, just general graphics graphical glitches since the launch of the new season. Things are just popping in randomly. Textures aren't loading in. Some buildings I've seen that just haven't loaded in at all. And I know it's not my GPU because I updated all the drivers. I rolled back to previous drivers. I repaired my game. I reinstalled Delta Force as a whole, just doing all the troubleshooting I could to try and fix the issue. But it really looks as though when I launched Delta Force after playing it for like an hour or two, then those black flashes just start happening randomly. It's like, it's not even like a whole second. It's just for like a fraction, like a few milliseconds. There's like a black flash on the screen, and it's just periodic at random moments. I don't know what happened. I haven't done anything to my setup. I haven't changed anything when the season launched, and I noticed the issue. I updated my drivers. I fixed the game and all that, and it always says that there's a file that needs to be revalidated. So there might be something there. I should probably actually do a bug report to some of my contacts over at the Delta Force team. But if you've been having issues similar to that, please let me know in the comment section down below. I'm going absolutely insane. I was actually streaming yesterday, and during the live stream, there was just these black random flashes happening at, random intervals. It's really, really weird and off-putting. I don't know what happened. And also the game performance seems to generally be going down season over season. Obviously, they're adding more assets and stuff like that. So the maps, that have jets, have this whole extra set of vehicles that you need to account for when loading into the map and all that. So that might be contributing to the overall lower frames that I've been getting. I'm still getting really decent frames. I cannot complain. But for players with potentially slightly weaker systems or playing on console or mobile or stuff like that, I'm curious, have you noticed that performance has gone down with the most recent season of Delta Force? Do you think it's pretty much the same as it's always been? Chime in the comments. I'm also kind of disappointed that they haven't really done anything for the vehicle versus infantry balance. Now, I know this is a pretty contentious topic. A lot of players are like, no, vehicles should be powerful and all that. And then there's the other side of the argument that's like, vehicles are far too powerful. I'm sitting kind of somewhere in between. I think something needs to be done because vehicles do have a very, very high power curve. They are incredibly powerful. Just the ability to repair at any repair station, and they're not all on a global cooldown. They're on an individual cooldown. The active defense system is incredibly powerful. It can just eat any type of explosive that you're throwing at it. Very, very strong. And honestly, on some of the maps, there are just too many vehicles. There's too many armored vehicles, just flat out. So it makes it incredibly frustrating when you're trying to play as, you want to play as a support because you want to resupply people with ammo and stuff like that, the engineers that are working on vehicles. But if you're not playing as an engineer on those vehicle heavy maps or somebody that can deal with vehicles, you're probably not going to have a good time unless you're like out somewhere just sniping, which can be a lot of fun. It's just not my style of gameplay. But yeah, vehicle versus infantry gameplay right now, the balance is way off. Like the gunplay in the game, I think, is at a very, very good place, and it's in a very good place right now. But like, just sometimes when I load into Trainwreck or Trench Lines, I'm absolutely dreading playing those maps just because of the sheer amount of vehicles on them. So I think they definitely need to start paying attention to those balancing issues and stuff like that, because obviously, and we're going to talk about the elephant in the room here, Battlefield 6 is coming out next week. It's probably going to eat up a large portion of the PC and console player base for Delta Force. Now, I don't think Delta Force is actually going to be hurting. They probably have a huge market on mobile, but I think that they need to start looking into the just stability of the game, quality of life features, and just general balance to make the game more enjoyable for players. Because I know a lot of people are just playing Delta Force while waiting for Battlefield 6 to launch, and I just want to, I don't want to see the game fail, right? I don't. But they just need to put a little bit more effort into those specific areas, those problem areas, in my opinion. Same thing with like the HUD. We need HUD customization. The HUD is just so cluttered when you're playing Warfare. Yeah, it's just an absolute nightmare. The menus, they did a little bit of work to fix the menus and reduce how many clicks you need, but I think it's still a little bit over convoluted. Now, UI is very, very difficult to get right, so I don't blame them, but I think that they could do a lot of work in order to improve those. And one more little thing I want to touch on before I finish off of the video here. The amount of currencies they're adding to the game is just mind-numbing. I cannot keep up. I don't know what half the currencies do in the game, honestly, anymore. There are just so many tickets and temporary tickets and seasonal currency of whatever, Delta tickets, Delta coins, You get all these different types of currencies. It's really confusing. Now I know it's a free-to-play game, so who am I to complain? But yeah, I think a lot of people are kind of getting jaded with the fact that they're constantly releasing new skins without fixing potential core issues that the game has, and if they, eventually, if they don't start fixing those glaring issues, players will start leaving, which is unfortunate because we all want the game to do well. All that being said, I think Season 6 is pretty solid, albeit I've been having issues. I've noticed that the game is less stable than it used to be, at least for me. If it's also been for you, please let me know in the comments. And yeah, just let me know your general thoughts about Season 6 of Delta Force in the comment section down below. Let's get a discussion going down there. I want to know anything and everything. But yeah, hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.